Mary, tell me about the Chinese character for crisis.
Well, apparently it is the character for danger plus the character for opportunity. And the early 1990s were certainly full of both of those for Northwoods.
What did the congregation do in 1988 that tried to alleviate some of our problems?
In 1988, we called our first full-time settled minister, Don Von Forster, and over the next 13 years, he served our congregation, and he was instrumental in our survival and our rebuilding. Under his leadership, we developed a much more robust church structure, and in 1989, we had 100 members. The next year, 123, according to my historian's records. And by the mid-1990s, we were at 150, and it was a very stable 150.
So you talked earlier about crisis being danger and opportunity. What were some of the dangers that we tried to deal with?
Well, the main danger was that we would go under financially. So even at 150 members, we couldn't support the building and a full-time minister and a part-time administrator. In October 1990, our then president, Rock Pritchard, warned that if we continued on our current course without coming up with some kind of an idea, that we would close our doors within a few months. So we became a veritable beehive of worker bees and just were trying all kinds of ideas for fundraising. And we were looking to raise funds from outside of the congregation because we were already all tapped out. So, for instance, we got a state license to run a Friday night church bingo hall. We did that for a few years. We published a cookbook, a church cookbook. We had renters. We made an effort to get more renters into the building. We had a full-time preschool that was our primary renter. And we just did as much as we could to raise funds. One of our members, Ida Stewart, knew about an idea to do church bonds, and there's a company that comes in and sets up a program, and we did that. We bought the church bonds, and then we used the money that was generated by that purchase to retire the bank mortgage, which then let all those people who had co-signed on it off the hook.
That was a close one.
Right.
And so who bought all the bonds?
The church members. We all bought bonds.
So we became the
primary lien holders on the building. Exactly.
Right. That was a huge.
That was huge.
Psychological advantage, because all of a sudden we controlled our own destiny.
Yes.
At that point.
Yeah, we did, and we knew we wouldn't default on that.
So with some of the optimism that all that brought, what were some of the opportunities that we took advantage of?
Okay, well, we started several community outreach sorts of activities in the 90s. We started the Teresa Allen and Dennis D. Simone and Durwood. Started the Millbend Coffee House.
And the first band was the band of Geckos. It was excellent.
Right. And that has been going on until COVID stopped it, and it will come back because it is an institution. Don Von Forster and Sharon Osowski began the Northwoods AIDS Coalition, and that was a really important community outreach because at the time, people who were HIV positive or had AIDS were ostracized and they needed support. And so I think that was one of the first instances in us really standing up for something that we believed in.
Yes, that was very important. Another important thing for our culture had to do with gorillas.
Yes, 1993 was the first Gorilla Sunday, and that was...
Thank you, Mark Holt.
Mark Holt began that, and it continued for many years.
So we came out of the late 80s and early 90s a lot better place than we were before.
Yes.
And now we're, in the next segment, going to go into the late 90s, and you'll have a lot more to say about that.
I will have more to say about that.
All right.